Hey everyone, it is Savannah from VLG Marketing. Today we're going to have some fun talking about Super Bowl advertisements, some of the best, some of the worst, and also some of our favorites, and how you can use these in your next marketing campaign. Let's go. Got it. All right, Chris, quick question.
Mm-hmm.
The big game.
The big game.
Is on Sunday.
It's big game Sunday.
Who do you got?
Not the Eagles.
Yeah,
Sorry, Rich. Yeah.
I like Jalen Hurts, but I'm going to go for the Chiefs with this one. I'm a Cowboys fan. I can't.
Big respect for the Eagles. It's true. So going along with the big game is the big game commercials.
I think we can just say Super Bowl, can't we?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Super Bowl commercials are easily, I think, one of my favorite parts about the game.
Yeah, for sure. It was more fun a few years back.
See, I kind of agree.
I
think the reason is because, like, okay, Miles Teller, his wife Kaylee Teller has like her own following on TikTok just from legitimately being like Miles Teller's wife. She released, like, they did a Budweiser commercial with their dog, and it's a really cute commercial, but she like already put it on TikTok and I've already seen it. So now when it comes on, I'm just going to be like, okay, I've already seen it.
Yeah, there's some shark jumping happening these days where they try and tease it too much or like.
Show me the Super Bowl commercial before the Super Bowl. Then it's not a Super Bowl commercial. It's just a commercial that you had played during the Super Bowl. This matters.
There's like a balance there where you're getting pub and it's in the news and people are latching on and it's obviously become a big thing. But I don't know. It's like the payoff can never be as good as the buildup, I guess, for that.
Well, and the other thing
you know what I mean?
about, and like, this like leads right into it, is Super Bowl commercials are the highest profile advertising campaign spot you could get. Not only is it so like high profile because everyone watches the Super Bowl, it's the most expensive one. Last year it was $5.5 million for just 30 seconds. And I think Mr. Beast, you mentioned this, tweeted that I think the 30-second spot is $7 million this year.
Yeah.
It's just an insane amount of money, and that's just to get the spot. Nobody talks about the production that goes into these campaigns.
Or this, if you're involving a celebrity, if you're, the production level of some of these.
Because some of them are like movie quality.
Yep. Yeah, they're basically like 30 seconds of cinematic quality video. It's insane. Yeah, and I love the Mr. Beast flex, but because he basically replied to Joe, I think his last name is Pompiliano. I'm probably butchering it. Sorry, Joe. But he's a great follow on Twitter and Instagram. But he basically replied to one of his posts that had the rising cost of Super Bowl ads, basically from the beginning of the Super Bowl, from Super Bowl I until now. And Mr. Beast replied and just said something along the lines of, wow, if you want to reach 100 million people for less than $7 million, just give me a call. Which is insane, but it's I mean, he has the reach. It's wild that the Super Bowl reaches that many people, but it has this level of cachet or just cultural notoriety.
So that itself, I think, is kind of the value.
Yeah, you're totally right. Those extra burn that you get from an ad campaign that runs during the Super Bowl for obvious reasons, but you know, the fact that you're going to end up on Super Bowl best Super Bowl ads,
top 50.
Worst Super Bowl ads, top 50 Super Bowl ads,
top 5 fails.
Yeah, top 5.
Which
exactly.
We'll talk about some fails too.
Yeah. You're going to end up one way or the other. You're going to get extra burn out of it, and also I think it's ascended to the level now where it's not just about the ad and being able to afford, $7 million for a 30-second spot, but it's the fact that it's basically a status symbol. As a company, it's going out and buying a Ferrari.
Well,
being able to say, here's our Super Bowl ad.
Here's what I think it is even if you don't watch football, you watch it for the ads. The football community, we're going to talk about the game the next day, but everybody else is going to be talking about their best commercial, their favorite commercial. And this goes on for like a week or two.
Oh, yeah.
And then a lot of companies will launch their advertising campaign during the Super Bowl, and then that will be their campaign for months and months. So it is definitely, like, I think the best term is high profile.
Yeah, things that they launch at the Super Bowl set the stage for what's coming in the next, 12 to 18 months.
With that being said, what is your favorite? I want to hear your favorite Super Bowl ad.
I think the one that always stands out to me, and I think it stands the test of time, is the original Old Spice guy.
Yes.
I think just hilarious.
Hello, ladies. Look at your man. Now back to me. Now back at your man. Now back to me. Sadly, he isn't me. But if he stopped using lady-scented body wash and switched to Old Spice, he could smell like he's me. Look,
he's funny. They kept that one going for like months, and then they started getting different like characters to be the Old Spice guy, and every single time it landed.
At the time, it was very different. Just the delivery, the oddball kind of comedy tone that it had was different. It sort of felt like it was a viral video ad, and this was, I think the first one was 2010.
Yes.
So it was kind of at the, not early stages, but that it felt like an ad I would see on YouTube rather than a Super Bowl ad in a good way.
Right, on television.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I think that's my favorite. Obviously, there are some iconic ones like the McDonald's 93, Michael Jordan versus Larry Bird. That's an iconic one. All the beer ads that Budweiser in particular.
We could probably talk about Super Bowl commercials for at least an hour.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
There's so many good ones and bad ones.
Yeah, but the number one, really without question, it's impossible to emulate. Ad agencies have been trying for years. Clients have been trying for years to emulate this, but the Apple 1984 ad is the greatest Super Bowl ad of all time.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
And it's kind of difficult, I would say, to even argue that, just for a number of reasons.
And I think almost everyone would agree with that because it continually ranks number one on all these articles that talk about, top 50.
Oh, yeah.
But I thought this was interesting. We talked about it. It's $7 million for 30 seconds.
I know, yeah.
This was 60 seconds in 1984, and approximately that was, I think, around $200,000 for 60 seconds in the 80s.
Yeah, it's insane.
How much it's grown, and we know it didn't hit $1 million until at least the 90s.
Right.
But Apple's all-in budget was $1 million, and now it is one of their most notable ads, as well as one of the most successful Super Bowl ads.
The thing that stands out to me, too, about that ad is, in the history of that ad, is the fact that it ran once.
One time.
Like we were talking about how a lot of times this kind of sets the stage for the creative that's going to be used for the next year or whatever it is. But for Apple, they used that ad one time.
And sold something like 70,000 computers.
Yeah, within whatever the time, I forget the time frame, but like 100 days of the ad or something like that. Like it was
successful.
An extremely successful campaign, but also it's brought up every single year. So it still gets talked about today from a creative standpoint. Apple gets, brought up and held up on a pedestal for their creative, and the lore of it is growing as the years go by. But the fact that something like that can run one time
and be so iconic
and never be shown again is incredible to me.
I agree.
Then just be like, dropping the mic and never having to show it again is incredible. And I think it was the first 60-second ad ever during the Super Bowl. I think it was. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. But that's huge also because that's making a real statement there. So Savannah, what is your favorite, most memorable Super Bowl ad?
Off the top of my head, Ram Trucks did one about farmers, I think in 2014. And it's Paul Harvey. He's a radio personality. It's the audio of his speech over like actual video and photos of farmers in the United States. And I don't know.
But he wants to spend his life doing what Dad does. So God made a farmer.
I don't know. It's just really like, I'm not even a farmer. Okay, I don't have any family that's a farmer, but it's like an emotional cut point to like the working class of America. And people talked about this ad. Like that year, I graduated college a few years after this, and they were still talking about it in a lot of my advertising classes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just like a very emotional, heartfelt, deep ad. I think a lot of the times Super Bowl skims comedy. And if you can do it successfully and hit like the emotion connection point, and I think Ram Trucks did that pretty well with this ad. Another honorable mention for me is Budweiser's Puppy Love commercial. You remember this one?
I do remember.
It's the puppy with the Clydesdale.
Yeah.
Everyone,
How can you not like it?
Everyone loves puppies.
Yep.
And so they thought about that, and the horse combined the two, and it was a really good one.
The classic Clydesdale.
Classic. Yep. Okay, but speaking of puppies, I can think of a fail immediately, top of my mind. It's Puppy Monkey Baby.
So was it Mountain Dew or was it Dorito? I can never remember.
It was Mountain Dew.
And that's another bad thing. I can't remember who it was.
See, and that's the thing. Like, if you're going to make a really bad, cringy ad, at least make sure people remember what brand it's for.
Yeah.
But if we can't even remember what brand it's for, then it's just a fail altogether. But basically, they were like, hey, let's take 3 things that people love. Said it was like this very weird, creepy character, and it's saying like a jingle.
Puppy Monkey Baby. Puppy Monkey Baby. Puppy Monkey.
And I'm all for having fun. That was weird.
You can go really outside the box and out there, but they went I think a little too far out there.
And it still got a ton of, I remember that being the next day, everybody was talking about that ad and no one could quite square it. But I don't know that anybody left that ad thinking, oh, that was hilarious or that was amazing.
Or let me get a Mountain Dew.
It confused everybody.
Yeah.
And it's still confused.
I played it for you.
If you watch it.
I played it for you and some of our friends outside. And some of them hadn't even heard of it, but they were like, what is that? We're like, no, that was our reaction when we saw it.
I know. That's strange. That was a weird one for sure. And then more recently, as far as fails go, this one's more infamous now within the last few months. The FTX ad with Larry David.
I watched that one.
Oh my gosh. I think the tagline for it was "Don't miss out" or something like that. And
like I was saying, it's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I'm never wrong about this stuff. Never.
Going on with Sam Bankman-Fried and their founder and just it coming out that it was a complete Ponzi scheme anyways and all of this. It's so funny to look back on it. It's horrible. It's a horrible look.
If you think about it,
it's going to be an infamous ad now that they.
And Larry David was just this talent for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wrong place, wrong time, Larry David.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's a rough one. Although in a weird way, Larry David probably thinks that's funny.
He probably does.
He probably thinks it's hilarious.
Another super cringy fail that I think of is that GoDaddy commercial. They were doing really well with Danica Patrick for their spokesperson for a while, but and she's in this commercial, but it's like a supermodel and a nerdy guy, and it's a super awkward up close kiss.
They're perfect.
Cringy, it's weird.
They were definitely the shock jock of Super Bowl ad creators.
Shock factor. For sure.
They always were trying to push the envelope, which is great, but it never quite landed for me personally.
There's plenty of fails, but then there's plenty of companies doing it right. Budweiser, I think they have so many good Super Bowl commercials. Their Dilly Dilly one a few years ago.
Oh, yeah, the Bud Night.
I actually have a shirt that says Dilly Dilly that I'll like to wear. Of course, they have the Clydesdale horses, which is kind of a factor in their branding.
Yeah.
But they always bring out the Clydesdale for their Super Bowl commercials. And again, like the Puppy Love one we mentioned, people really end up liking those commercials year after year. So at this point, it's iconic. You're wondering, how are they going to use the Clydesdale horses this year?
Yep.
And we're looking forward to it.
And another one, I like to look at some of the past ads and think about, would these ads work now? Are they evergreen ads? And one of the ones that stands out to me is the E-Trade Baby, which I think people thought was a little bit weird and creepy at the time.
But they kept going for a year after that Super Bowl launch.
Yeah, but I think they're funny. And I don't know, to me it's something that if you did that now, it would still kind of work. If that popped up as a YouTube ad for me, that would still kind of work. I think that was funny.
So get a chuckle out of you.
Yeah, it's weird enough to be a pattern interrupt, but not weird enough to turn me off. It's weird enough that it just stops me, but then the baby talking is actually funny and the script is funny. And so it sticks with, to me, I look at it and I'm like, that would actually work as a YouTube ad right now or something.
Well, it sticks with you.
Yep.
It did its job.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, I know that we can't afford a $7 million advertising spot.
I would say most companies out there probably can't. Although we have some clients who can. Actually, one of our clients is having their first Super Bowl ad.
That's very exciting.
This year, which is exciting, yeah.
We definitely have some clients that can. But if we wanted to do something Super Bowl-esque in some of our marketing efforts, how would we do that?
So one of the interesting things about the Super Bowl is that it has such a social cachet now. And with social media, everything that's connected to it or connected to the event, just like Christmas, just like Black Friday, just like the holidays in general, it's another holiday, right? So no matter what you're selling, if you're tying your product, if you're tying your brand to that topical or timely event, it's going to have a natural lift in interest. Whether it's putting football and the big game in your email subject line, or if there's all kinds of sales happening right now that will happen this week and into the weekend that are going to be the big game sales. Like I'm sure there are people maybe that that have bought cars this coming weekend, or buy mattresses this coming week, like
I've already
big ticket items.
3 emails on Monday morning.
Have you really? It was all the big game?
Yeah. Like I'm on a marketing list, and it's all something related to the big game, aka the Super Bowl.
And speaking of that, speaking of the big game, our colleague Rich was telling us that there's a dip company that had an old local ad. It wasn't a Super Bowl ad.
Well, because advertisers can't use Super Bowl in their advertisements, so they often refer to it as the big game.
Exactly, which is funny and cheesy, but there's a dip company that got around that by saying the big game is going to be super, like a big bowl of whatever the name of the dip company is, which I thought that's genius.
Clever.
It's very clever. And the fact that other companies haven't just straight copied that is amazing to me. But I love that. I think that's hilarious. But so to me, it's as simple as connecting your brand, your product to whatever that event. And in this case, it's the Super Bowl. And there's plenty of creative elements that could be involved. You can have fun with it. It's another way to de-serious your brand a little bit through email, through social, whatever that may be. And you can just kind of have fun with it in that way. But if you look at the data, there is a natural lift in things like email, in things like social media when they're connected to the big game in the messaging at the right time.
Well, I'll be looking forward to hearing what your favorite ad is on Monday morning.
I'll be looking forward to telling you.
And we can discuss. Yeah. So it'll be fun.
All right.
Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs. Sorry, Rich.